Have you ever noticed how easy it is to lose hours of your life without even realizing it? You pick up your phone, tell yourself you're just going to check one thing, and then suddenly 40 minutes have disappeared. You didn't choose those 40 minutes. They were taken from you by design. The apps, the feeds, the endless scrolls are engineered to keep your attention hooked. And the danger isn't just the time wasted, it's what that constant distraction does to your mind, to your energy, to your ability to focus on what really matters. Every time you give into that cycle, you're reinforcing a habit of reaction instead of creation. You're letting the noise of the world dictate what you see, what you think about, even how you feel. And if you repeat that long enough, you start to confuse stimulation with fulfillment. But they're not the same thing. Stimulation gives you a quick hit of novelty, a rush that fades almost instantly. Fulfillment, on the other hand, comes from progress, from meaning, from intentionally directing your life. Psychologically, there's a cost to distraction that most people don't realize until it's already too heavy. Constantly switching your attention from one thing to another fragments your brain's ability to go deep. It keeps you in a state of shallow focus. That's why so many people feel busy all the time, but still feel like they're not moving forward. They've trained their minds to skim, to swipe, to consume, but not to concentrate. And without concentration, you can't build. You can't create. You can't pursue the kind of goals that actually transform your life. Philosophically, this is even bigger. The question becomes, who owns your attention? Because your attention is your life. Whatever you focus on consistently becomes your reality. If you spend your days locked into other people's stories, other people's successes, other people's drama, then you're essentially handing them ownership over your most precious resource, your time. And once you see it that way, it's almost shocking how casually we give it away. Here's the truth: breaking free from the distraction cycle isn't just about productivity. It's about self-respect. When you say, "Oh, my focus belongs to me," you're reclaiming your agency. You're deciding that you won't be pulled in every direction by algorithms, by opinions, by trends that won't matter a week from now. You're choosing to protect the part of you that dreams bigger, that thinks deeper, that has the power to create a meaningful future. Now, I know this isn't easy. Distractions feel comfortable. They give us a way to avoid the harder work, the silence, the self-reflection, the effort it takes to move forward. But comfort isn't the same as growth. And if you stay too comfortable for too long, life starts to feel smaller, duller, less inspiring. The more distracted you become, the less connected you feel to yourself, to your goals, to the people you care about. That's the hidden cost most people don't want to face. So how do you break free? You start by making one simple decision to become intentional about your attention. That means noticing when you're scrolling without purpose and interrupting the pattern. It means setting boundaries with your time, deciding in advance how much of it you'll spend on entertainment versus creation. It means practicing the discipline of being present in the moment instead of constantly reaching for the next digital escape. And most importantly, it means asking yourself, is this helping me become the person I want to be? If the answer is no, that's your signal to shift. Because here's what happens when you reclaim your focus: everything in your life starts to align. Your work gets deeper, your relationships get stronger, your goals become clearer, you begin to feel a sense of control again, like you're steering your life instead of being pulled along by it. And that feeling, that clarity, that agency is where fulfillment lives. The reality is you can't afford to live distracted anymore. Life is too short, your potential is too great, and the world needs what you have to offer. Every moment you spend lost in the scroll is a moment you could have spent building the life you've been dreaming about. And the scariest part, no one will stop you from wasting it. No one will step in and say, "Hey, your dreams are slipping away while you're watching another video." That's on you, which means the power is also on you to make a different choice. So the challenge is clear: break free from the distraction cycle. Protect your focus like it's gold, because it is. Direct it toward what matters most and watch how your life begins to shift. Because once you reclaim your attention, you reclaim your future. And that one choice has the power to change everything. Think about how much time slips through your fingers each day without you even noticing. A few minutes here, a quick scroll there, and suddenly an hour is gone. And it's not just about the hours. It's about the energy, the focus, the momentum that gets siphoned away into things that don't actually move your life forward. What if, instead of handing all of that time over to distraction, you started to redirect it towards something that builds you, something that expands you, something that takes you closer to the life you say you want? That's where everything begins to change. We live in a world where information is endless. You can watch, listen, read, and consume nonstop 24 hours a day. But here's the paradox: more content doesn't mean more progress. In fact, the more you consume without action, the more you convince yourself that you're doing something meaningful when you're really just standing still. Success doesn't come from knowing everything. It comes from doing something with what you already know. This is where intentional growth enters the picture. Growth is not about random inspiration or bursts of motivation. It's about directing your energy into things that compound over time. When you decide that even 15 minutes you would normally waste on scrolling can instead be used to read a book, practice a skill, journal, write your ideas, or move your body, you start to build momentum. And that momentum is everything, because momentum feeds confidence and confidence feeds action. Once you get that cycle going, the same hours that used to vanish into distraction suddenly become the fuel for transformation. Philosophically, this is about agency. Do you live by default, reacting to whatever shows up on your screen? Or do you live by design, choosing where your focus goes? Every human being has the same 24 hours in a day. The difference between someone who thrives and someone who struggles is not talent or luck, or even resources. It's how they use their time, and time, once gone, never comes back. You can make more money, you can rebuild a reputation, you can even regain health if you've lost it. But you can never reclaim the minutes you gave away to something meaningless. So how do you redirect your time? Start by asking yourself what matters to me. What are the areas of my life that, if I invested just a little more attention, could completely change the trajectory of my future? Maybe it's your health. Maybe it's your business idea you've been sitting on. Maybe it's relationships that need nurturing. Once you identify that, every time you feel the impulse to scroll, you have a decision point. Do I give in to the distraction, or do I invest this energy into what matters? That one choice, repeated over and over, is what separates growth from stagnation. And here's something powerful: when you choose to redirect your time, you also reclaim your identity. You start to see yourself differently. You no longer identify as someone who wastes hours, but as someone who is disciplined, intentional, and moving forward. That identity shift is critical, because the story you tell yourself about who you are determines the choices you make tomorrow. It's also worth pointing out that this is not about perfection. You don't need to cut out every distraction. You don't need to grind 24 hours a day. That's not sustainable, and it's not what life is about. But you do need to raise the standard for yourself. You do need to decide that your time has value, and that at least a portion of it must be spent in ways that create progress rather than numbness. Think of your time like an investment account. Every hour you put into learning, creating, exercising, connecting, it compounds. Maybe you don't see the payoff immediately, but over weeks, months, years, the return on those investments is enormous. On the other hand, every hour lost to meaningless scrolling is like money spent on junk you don't need. It's gone, and nothing grows from it. So the invitation is simple: stop living on autopilot. Stop letting the default of distraction decide your life for you. Instead, start redirecting your attention toward intentional growth, even small, consistent choices: reading 10 pages a day, journaling for 5 minutes, making one phone call that moves your dream forward. Those add up, and the life you've been hoping for begins to take shape, not through giant leaps, but through those steady, intentional steps. Because at the end of the day, it's not about the hours you spend consuming what other people create. It's about what you choose to create with your own time. And that choice, the choice to invest in your growth rather than waste it on distraction, is the choice that changes everything. So the next time you catch yourself reaching for your phone to scroll mindlessly, pause. Remind yourself this moment is a chance to invest in me, in my growth, in my future. And if you choose that path consistently, your life will never be the same.